Are maximizing revenue. Moderating this session, I would like to introduce Mr. Sanjay Trehan, digital and new media consultant, who has 3 decades of experience working in HT Media, Microsoft, Times Internet, and he was the former CEO of NDTV Convergence. Joining him will be Hemant Jain, Senior Executive Vice President and Head of Digital Business, Lokmat Media, Meghana Bhat, Head of Growth and Partnerships, ScoopWhoop Media, Mukesh Kumar Singh, Head of Revenue Digital, the Indian Express Group, Naveen Sreenivasan, Head of Media Solutions, Television, Radio and Digital, Mathrubhumi, Pradeep Gairola, Vice President and Business Head, Digital Media, the Hindu Group, and Sandeep Balani, Head of India, Outbrain. So I leave the stage to you.
Just a short introduction about you, and then we'll go about with everybody.
Hi, good afternoon. Sanjay, thank you so much. My name is Hemant, and I spearhead the digital transformation and businesses at Lokmat. Been in digital media space for the last 27 years. And I started my digital journey way back in 1996 with the launch of IndianExpress.com. We were the first newspaper to go online. And it feels that after 25 years, I have circled back and I'm back in the online news publishing space, which has become more exciting, though I still miss the 96 days when we used to draw out the home pages and the internal pages on a sheet of white paper. So thank you so much and looking forward to the discussion today.
Absolutely. And we would now go to Sandeep.
Thank you, Sanjay. I am Sandeep. I look after the India operations of Outbrain. Outbrain is a technology which empowers publisher in the open web ecosystem with not only monetization tools, but also enables them to increase their page views and organic recommendations. One of the tools that definitely further in the interview we'll speak about is Content Coalition, which Outbrain has just launched to enable a network of publishers. So thanks a lot.
All right, Pradeep, your turn.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pradeep, work for Hindu, joined Hindu about 2.5 years back. So in last we are trying to transition the company from a ad-based revenue model to a subscription-based model, and that is where most of the work is going on. And as I think most of my counterpart, I am also working towards transitioning the news business of the Hindu from a print dominant to a digital dominant business, and that's the work we are. Thanks.
Excellent. Meghana, what is happening at ScoopWhoop?
Hi everyone, I'm Meghana. I lead growth and partnerships at ScoopWhoop. Primarily, I oversee branded content, which is our primary monetization model at ScoopWhoop. But I'm also involved, in other strategic monetization experiments that we're doing. The most recent being launch of Unscripted News, which is a subscription-based news platform for young people. So that's what we are very excited about right now at ScoopWhoop.
All right, Naveen.
Hi, everyone. I work with the Mathrubhumi group. I head revenue for our TV, radio, and digital business. So we are a media group based out of Kerala, and our primary business, or the core business, is newspapers. And I've worked for over 10 years with Mathrubhumi in the newspaper business. And over the last 4 months, I've come into this new role.
All right, Mukesh.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Myself, Mukesh. I'm from Indian Express, taking with the responsibility of revenue. It's been more than 20 years in the same industry, and starting my career from Times of India in the digital part itself. I've seen a lot of ups and downs in the digital, but this pandemic has definitely given the edge. I'm not trying to be happy about it that this pandemic came and has given the edge. But yes, the difference, what we have seen, in fact, most of the times I've worked with the newspaper companies, companies which have been dominated by the print version. But it has definitely badly hit the newspaper side, and digital side has taken over the edge now. And I think it's going up.
All right, so it's been a bit of a mixed bag for everybody. We understand and appreciate that. Let me lay out the broad agenda of what we intend to cover today. As you all know that monetization has been a bit of a challenge in the digital publishing space. We are seeing significant, traction in terms of the audience, but the monetization curve has not moved at the same speed. Now, today's session is essentially about exploring new opportunities in the monetization space. Let me sort of amplify what we intend to do. So what is it that we need to do beyond advertising and beyond advertising optimization, beyond subscription plays? We would like to specifically talk about, what is it that we need to do in terms of content licensing, content syndication? Are we looking at affiliate marketing in a serious way? How is it we are looking at branded content? Are we looking at going beyond native and creating custom solutions which are an intrinsic part of the core content experience for us? So beyond this, there are some new frontiers that the content companies in the West are experimenting with, which is the role of content commerce, the content marketplace. In India, we are seeing early stirrings of, AVOD and SVOD. So in the VOD space, both advertising-based monetization and subscription-based monetization is already happening. But content as commerce would mean that in a robust content marketplace, we will be able to look at monetization of differentiated exclusive pieces of content. Some early beginnings, as some of you may know, have already happened in a blockchain-led play, which is the non-fungible tokens. And so India is yet not there in NFT space, but we have some marketplaces like WazirX, which is coming in. So these are some of the broad contours. And post that, I would like some of you to also talk about who owns the audience, because the fact is that if our digital brands don't own an audience and the audience are only an extension of our print product or our mainstream media, then what leverage do we really have in terms of harnessing the audience? And so digital allows us to look at audience segmentation. Can we create cohorts which can be monetizable? So audience segmentation, the role of data, and can we look at data as a monetization play? Because data gives you great insights, and data allows us to look at content which can be bespoke also. So these are the things that I would like you to talk about. And let me first begin with Mukesh. Mukesh, Indian Express is pretty robust in terms of the exclusivity and the differentiation of its content. I've always looked at Express as a company that is producing highly differentiated content. Now, what are the early signs you're seeing in terms of monetization of differentiated content that Indian Express is producing?
Okay, thanks. So, in fact, content is definitely, there's a demand in market which is picking up for content. In fact, if I talk about like 5-6 years back or 10 years back, it was majorly the display thing which was being asked by the advertisers. But now, off late, we have started observing that demand has been coming from the advertiser side as well. That they are looking forward for the content pieces. They want to get associated to the content. So we have also, open-handedly, with the open mind, we have tried to accept that demand. The only hitch what we have been seeing from over the years, since this demand has been picking up, people have been asking for non-sponsored content, which we always shy away from, who are not providing that actually. So yeah, every company, whenever we get a request from the advertisers side, most of the time they want to mix their content with our editorial content, and which is not a right idea for a news publishing house, because if we do that, we will mislead our own audience. So me as a person on the side of revenue, definitely at times we given to our pressures or those kind of things, we feel tempted that we'll get this amount of money, And at times we start looking forward for non-sponsored content thing to be published on our websites. But I firmly believe that, we should not go for those routes. We should not try to mislead our audience in differentiating between the sponsored content and the non-sponsored content, which I've seen, a couple of other people have been doing. I'm not trying to, say anything about people who are doing it. I'm not saying they are wrong, but in my opinion, I think we should differentiate the sponsored content very clearly. Distinction between both the contents, the editorial content and the sponsored content should be there. And this will take it long way. If we, in my opinion, if we mix both of those things, and if we put it in a fashion that it has not been differentiated, so this demand will die soon. This will not continue. It will not keep coming as we think it will make a lot of dollars for us. So we at Indian Express, we have taken certain stand in terms of producing the content which is sponsored one. And whenever it comes as a request from the advertiser side, we clearly demarcate this distinction between the content we supply for them. So we have prepared a separate team. We don't ask our editorial team to supply the content piece for the advertisers. We have a separate team which supply the content to the advertisers, what they look forward for. In fact, just to share one example, in fact, last year, before COVID, in fact, we were sitting with one of the advertisers, and that advertiser said that I need a non-sponsored content. Okay, fine. Also, what we want is that, your editorial should write a content piece, and please send content piece to us, and we'll check that, and then we'll come back to you, and then you can publish that same thing on the website. So, which is that definitely won't happen. But if at all agree to some part of it, then also we are diluting ourselves, which I think we should not. We all should, clearly demark the sponsored and non-sponsored content on our websites, on the portals, or whatever properties we are sitting. That's what I think.
Mukesh, I get that. But my question was more in terms of, so the differentiation between sponsored, non-sponsored is absolutely clear. And we need to look at clear demarcation because the customer cannot be taken for a ride. My question was more in lines of creating bespoke content to create solutions. Let me take this question to Meghana. Meghana, you only ScoopWhoop produces exclusive content only, and I've seen some of your content is really appeals to the millennials and has the ability to go viral. Share with us your experience of how well have you been able to monetize this content, because clearly in terms of audience you're doing well. You're gaining audience, there is audience acceptability and audience traction. Share with us your experience about monetization trends that ScoopWhoop is witnessing in terms of harnessing the original content it produces.
So thanks, Sanjay. I'll take that. So see, at ScoopWhoop, we have always, our primary revenue model has always been branded content. Yes, we do advertising on the text on the .com, but the bulk of our revenues comes from branded content, and branded content extends from the text content on the .com to all our video properties that we have built across social media, right? So what we have done is, and to your point of differentiated content, what we have done is we've essentially looked at social media, looked at different kinds of audiences and created content brands for each of those audiences, okay? So when you talk about our lifestyle channel, which is called OK Tested, that is for a younger audience. It actually skews towards women. When you talk about unscripted is for an older, slightly older audience, but focusing on, social justice and, more newsy kind of content. Our platform on Instagram is again more entertainment driven. The .com is a mixed bag of different verticals. So through each of these platforms, you're able to target different audiences, and the kind of solutions that we create also then become one specific for different audiences. Second, very, very native to the content on that platform. Okay, so for example, if a brand approaches us saying, hey, why don't you, review our product, or can we talk about our product? So we have a number of different ways in which we can do that. We can do a listicle which has an element of their product that's part of it, or we can do a video where some of the faces of ScoopWhoop try out the product, which is very native to what we're doing on OK Tested. So it feels like one more episode of the regular programming, and that's important, I think, because we have to preserve our, like Mukesh said, right? We have to preserve our original creator voice, which is why the audience comes to us in the first place. So we are seeing that branded content is really where we are, getting our majority of our revenues from.
Yeah, great. In fact, Sandeep, let me take this question to you because, while the Hindu and the Indian Express and ScoopWhoop is at the other end of the content funnel, you are a specialist in harnessing the long tail. And you're really, as a pioneer, Outbrain has been doing that very well. Now, I want you to talk to us about how are you moving the curve from the long tail to now you're looking at, innovation in the video space. You are looking at making your content offering more contextual. You're looking at your content engine becoming more robust and more pivotal to the consumer experience. So share with us some of the new insights that Outbrain has been working on in terms of beefing up its recommendation engine.
Absolutely. So Sanjay, one of the things that we did in the Indian market is launched Outbrain Smart Feed. Outbrain Smart Feed empowers publisher with a feed experience, just like user is scrolling on Facebook, right? We also provide publisher with the tools of performance advertisers, like you were mentioning, affiliate marketing. Though I don't think publishers should be moving to affiliate marketing, but there are tools where advertisers can use to drive performance for app installs, for ROI-driven advertisers. Like fintech is a very big advertising pool with us, or edutech is growing really well. Right, so we provide publisher with tools to create these kind of channels. We also, as I said, we have launched a subscription tool where players like Hindu, Indian Express can drive subscription revenues or increase subscription base of users on their website. Also, there is, as I mentioned, content coalition. Like Australia did face a challenge where they were being blocked by Facebook and Google. So Outbrain has gone ahead and launched content coalition where publishers can use our technology to create a network of audience of their own and interchange or grow audience between themselves, right? In the meanwhile, creating a bigger pool of audiences for themselves, right? So that is something Outbrain has gone ahead and done. Other things that we are seeing on the demand side of the ecosystem in India is that the ecosystem has got highly fragmented, with fintech and OTTs becoming really big. While fintech has taken away a very big performance share, like Google Pay is offering coupons for everyone who is paying on Google Pay, right? So the performance side of buyers have moved towards fintech. The brand side of premium video buyers have moved towards OTTs. So the open web ecosystem is getting highly fragmented, and that's where I do feel that this ecosystem needs to create different barriers to entries. One of them is subscriptions, which Pradeep did speak about. So these kind of barriers to entries will kind of create the premiumness and niche in audiences that publishers are looking for.
Yes, great. In fact, Pradeep, let me take that subscription question to you. So you took a bold bet in the subscription space, and to some extent, the fact that there is a very large Tamil diaspora outside India, and the kind of content that Hindu produces is really exclusive. To some extent, I'm sure that would have helped you in taking the decision. Share with us your subscription experience so far, and how are you looking at tying subscription as a part of your overall monetization pie? How do you see subscription panning out as part of your overall monetization efforts?
Sure. So see, first thing is when we looked at Hindu, we realized that there is a certain kind of content which gets a lot of traction on Facebook, Google kind of a thing. And this content basically could be called a ABCD content, which is astrology, Bollywood, cricket, devotion, right? And we don't do any of that. So naturally, that advertising play and the edit policy was very, very clear. They are not going to change the policy, and we were losing out. So a few years back, we were number 2, number 3, then we kept sliding. So naturally, the subscription was the only thing available to us. So not so much by, we were almost forced into subscription, because if the editorial is not ready to change the policy, what do you do? But in the hindsight, it seems to be a really a good move, because see, this financial year we have grown our business, digital business, by 50%, and our subscription business has grown by about 150%, and now subscription is for 47% of our digital revenue. Right?
Oh, that's big.
Yeah, and this, so clearly the organization said that, we are going to be a subscription dominant business, and that's what we are going to go for. This year we are targeting about 70% of our revenues coming from digital subscriptions. But we are very clear that, only 5% of the user is ever going to pay. So 95% of the user is always going to be monetized through advertising. And there our biggest opportunity lies in increasing the yields and the higher end of the advertising rather than the programmatic led business, right? So last year, so as a company, what we have done, we said that, see, like at some point in time, there cannot be we want to be a big digital company. So we have set a deadline of 31st March 2023 when we will become a digital company, which means that we will be this department called digital department by 31st March 23. Now, when you have set a deadline to kill your department, and because we realize that in a digital company, there's nothing called digital department, right? So it has to, the digital department has to die in favor of the digital company. So we started to work around. So what we did in the beginning of the April, we merged our advertising sales force with the print, digital advertising and print sales force. And the leader of the digital advertising took it on himself to train the team. So our advertising business has also grown phenomenally, right? Direct sales business of advertising has grown by 120% over last year. So
that's good to hear.
Yeah. So overall, see, like the last year, which was not so good for the publishers, ended up being quite good for us. Purely, I think, more so much by, I think just the circumstances created it. The biggest factor, of course, being the COVID, right? So digital subscription now looks like a central to us. This is a business which we would like to grow. We feel the kind of content which we generate is something which people will pay for. And see, I personally feel that content creation is a very expensive process. So see, like if you will see a piece of content, see, an average good editorial person produces 8 to 10 pieces of content in a month, and you pay them typically about 1,50,000-60,000 rupees, 2 lakh range kind of a price point for that 1 month. And so your content cost, each piece is costing you between 15,000 to 25,000 rupees. And that kind of monetization is not possible through advertising because the volumes required. So see, like if you will look at value of the one user which we monetize through advertising, the yearly value is less than 2 rupees. So how do you arrive at when the publisher says I had 10 million users, which means 1 crore user, and if you create a 1 crore revenue, which means that your value of that user for that particular month was 1 rupee. So when we did this calculation, we realized that our kind of a content, it is not going to make sense for us to really rely on purely on advertising. But we also realize advertising is always going to be integral to us. Advertising will always be, as I said, that 95% of the user will never pay. Our target is that 5% of our user pays us in the 3 years' time. And currently we seem to be on the right track, but it is too early. But overall, the beginning is quite promising for us.
Yes. So Pradeep, I think you very successfully demonstrated that, in the world of monetization, the play between advertising and subscription is not an either or play. And this is something that I, as a very strongly believe that, 5% or 10% of your audience is willing to pay. And that is the way it needs to be, because some people who are not looking at differentiated content, which is value added and exclusive, they might as well continue to be fed with advertising. So it's not an either, and the pie is big enough for both the players. Let me take this question now to Naveen and then followed by Hemant, because my question, Naveen, because both of you are very strong regional players, which means that you have an early advantage in terms of customizing your content offering to the regional cohorts of audiences. So audience segmentation and leveraging audiences could come naturally to you if you are able to unleash and the value creation in that space. So Naveen, share with us some of the initiatives that Mathrubhumi may be looking at in terms of monetizing its regional audiences.
Yeah, Sanjay. So, taking off from earlier, the start of the pandemic, in Kerala, the situation was slightly different. Here, our newspaper business was not affected at all. So the subscriptions dropped by only 5%. And over the last year, actually, our subscription revenues have kept the company alive. If you know, when the advertising took a hit, it was the subscription which helped us afloat. So Malayalis pay for the news, and the cover price is also healthy. So that's the strong base that we have. Now, on the digital front, currently we are reliant on advertising, but we are very strongly looking at over the next year start building a subscription based revenue model. So we started by charging for our e-paper last year, which has seen encouraging results, and I think definitely we are looking at, and like you said in the beginning, owning the audience. Print, the print business, we know our audiences, we know who is buying our paper, but on the digital side, that data infrastructure is not as strong as we would like. So definitely that's one area in which we are looking at, of understanding our audiences, of capturing who they are, like having that first party data, and then moving into monetizing that too from the users and not just from the brands. And on the advertising front, the regional markets have really picked up. So local retail, we are very closely working with them, not only for just the standard ads, but also for branded content, creating content with them in a very native and very organic way. So that's also a focus area for the current year. So these are some of the things that
I think, yes. Good. In fact, you talked about owning the customer, and I know one person who's very actively engaged in unlocking value, specifically when it comes to its customer is Hemant, who's in the middle of, huge audience segmentation and identity management study. Hemant, you've looking at Lokmat in an entirely new way. And I think one of the things that you're doing is that you want to the Lokmat digital to start owning its digital audience. And I think the first step that you're taking is understanding your digital audience, understanding how and where they come from, what is the content they consume, what's the complete content journey, and identity management, and then unlocking value by customizing content and personalizing content for them, I believe is been your thrust area. As clearly, Hemant, you are looking at audience segmentation in a big way, and share with us, where are you on this journey and your early thoughts so that people can benefit from this, that how owning the customer, not just by the mainstream brand, but the digital brand, is pivotal to unlocking value in terms of monetization.
Sure. Thank you, Sanjay. So I've always believed, and I've been saying this since last 15, 20 years, that to build any successful digital businesses, the three core pillars continue to be content, technology, and distribution/marketing. And if you look at the journey we undertook at Lokmat, so we were never enamored or, overpowered by the ComScore rating. And that is the reason why we never went chasing audiences on the back of spends. But what we said, hey, can I really invest behind content, technology, and distribution to get the right product, the right mix of content, and deliver a great consumer experience? Now, if I share some of these numbers with you, it would bring a smile on your face. So 5 years back, when I took charge of this business, we had 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. We had one channel on YouTube called the Lokmat channel. And it kind of steadily grew over the last 3, 4, 5 years. And it's a step-by-step growth journey. I wouldn't say in 1 month, like a lot of advertising you see today by certain news publishers, that they've grown 100 million in 1 month. It doesn't happen like that. So I would say in 5 years, we grew from 6,000 subscribers to now 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Wow. We used to do hardly a couple of lakh views. And today on Facebook and YouTube put together, on a single Marathi channel, which does not include entertainment, lifestyle, women-centric content, purely news, current affairs, we do 85 million on Facebook and 25 million on YouTube. Now, the only point I'm trying to drive here today, on Facebook, we are the second largest video player after ABP. Now look at this. Look at where we are. A newspaper brand getting into digital. He has to get his first product right as your website, the text part. But you see what's happened today. You're much higher than some of the leading television brands online because video is natural to them. It comes very genetically natural to them. But as a publisher, as a news publisher in print and digital, you are now ranking #2 on Facebook. Now, what's the reason? We are even higher than BBC Marathi. It completely depends on your content strategy, what's your approach to content, etc. Now, once you've got your content right, obviously you've got consumers who come in, who are eager to consume your content. It again depends on your distribution strategy. And I firmly believe in today's age, we have moved away from destination viewing to a more distributed architecture. So your content could be discovered on Facebook, it could be discovered on WhatsApp, Google, Geo News, Just Dial, Paytm, wherever, whatever. But at the end of the day, the guy, if he starts loving your content, wherever you are present in an omnipresent format, he would want to come and consume your content. So that's the first part of this whole journey. The second part of the journey is, in today's world, nobody owns the consumer. I think so it would be very foolish to even make a statement that I own the consumer. I mean, if you look at the food delivery app, there is Zomato and there is Swiggy, and it's not necessary that you use one. If there are certain, so your customer could be more loyal to you compared to competition, but it is also a function of the exclusivity, non-exclusivity, and the quality of content. So as Sanjay said, I just wanted to set a context here. For us, the most important thing I believe for all of us is, as you said, the first party data. And first party data is about knowing your customer. And if you look at most of the customers who come to your site would continue to be anonymous customer, unless and until he sees value in you. Now, what do you do with an anonymous customer? To an anonymous customer, the max you could do is reach out back to him with more relevant content, more personalized content. What does it do to you? It increases your page views. Now, if you ask me today, what is your unit economics of the business? The unit economics of your business is number of page views, because more the number of page views, more the ad impressions, more the tabula impressions, more the absolute impressions, more network, more direct inventory, etc., etc. Now, that's about what do you do with him on site. But the moment the guy registers with you, you can do a hell lot of things with him. Yes. You can export the data to Facebook Ad Manager. You could do retargeting, remarketing. If the guy has not visited your site for more than 20, 25 days, you can reach out to him because you exactly know this consumer typically comes to your site from which channel. Is he a more Facebook user? Is he a more Google user? And today I'm saying you can't create silos because each of us are on Facebook, are on Google, are on multi-channel or kind of an omni-channel presence. So I think so the differentiator going forward very clearly is where your advertisers are not going to call you and ask you for impression inventory. They're going to say, this is the quality of audiences I want to reach out to, very specific brief into you. And do you have those set of audiences who they can target their messaging or communication back to? And believe you me, like we are currently seeing a very, very high hope of positivity and optimism around subscription. I firmly believe in the future holds in what quality of audiences are loyal to your product. That is again a function of your content technology, etc. And you would definitely have an ability to charge a premium to an advertiser because you will be able to get him or provide him with good quality customer. So, yeah, Sanjay, those are some of the views I have.
So, very well said, Hemant. Audience optimization is the holy grail of monetization. The interesting thing is that this is such a fascinating subject, and one can go on, and I've only barely touched 50% of what I really wanted to cover. And I believe we've just got 5 minutes left. Let me take my question of audience extension and audience amplification with a view to monetize to Meghana. Meghana, tell me, how are you unlocking value in the social communities that you've built? And because social communities are really key to brand extension, and you can really unlock significant value. Share with us your experience.
So, you know, what we've done is, I think at the core of ScoopWhoop, what we've built is a very strong editorial brand, right? Everyone knows what the ScoopWhoop brand is. And then what we've done is we've extended that brand across different communities and platforms, basis the nature of that platform, and, you know, what is the kind of content and the culture on that platform, right? So one part of ScoopWhoop, for example, is you know, covering what's trending and also sort of being the go-to destination to discover what's trending amongst young people, right? That's one part of our brand. We've extended that brand to Instagram. So Instagram is where it's like the homepage of young India. That's the idea there with Instagram. You go there, you know exactly what young people are loving right now across the internet, right? That's what we do on our Instagram page. We know the other part of our brand is that because we represent young people are not just only interested in entertainment and you know, there's this myth around that. We know they're interested in social issues, they're interested in politics, they're interested in social justice. So unscripted news is where we've extended that brand. We've taken it to YouTube in the beginning, and now we've extended it to subscriptions. And we are seeing some great sort of early response to that. It's just been a week since we've launched news as a subscription channel. And what surprised us is that so many young people want to subscribe and have subscribed, you know, which I think is a myth buster, because the general sort of thinking is that you have to be of a certain age, income, etc., to want to subscribe to news in India, right? But this is a news channel, and we have college students who are very excited to subscribe, right?
Yeah.
And that is also a result of the pricing strategy. We've priced it in such a way that we know that a college student would be able to afford it, and, you know, what is the thinking behind that. So I think that's what we did with news. With entertainment, we again went back to YouTube and we built something focusing on, you know, our faces, and we built this whole sort of community of influencers, because we know that's what works with a younger audience. So you're talking about like an 18-year-old, 17-year-old audience, right? And we focused on also acquiring women into the brand. So these are some of the things that we've done in terms of creating a central, strong editorial voice, and then extending that in different ways. Like the .com is all about being generalist. So we have various, you know, various verticals, and that is distributed through our Facebook page, because we feel Facebook is really the generalist social media platform right now, right?
True.
And it has access to many. Then we've created ScoopWhoop Hindi, which in during COVID has really sort of boomed to appeal to the Hindi belt, and that's also a certain take on Hindi content, right? So that's how we've sort of looked at different kinds of audiences and extended our brand in different ways across social media.
Fascinating. This is fascinating. Now, in the interest of time, I would definitely like to actually ask one more question, because I would like to end this conversation on a futuristic note. And that question is about content as commerce. So clearly, you know, publishing houses are the repositories of great content. Look at the multimedia content which has been created. We have fascinating examples of content monetization happening in the West, specifically by the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. So, you know, interactive graphics, multimedia content, exclusive feature-led stories, you know, and bespoke content for brands. Now, this is where content as commerce would play a very critical role and would allow the mainstream and the digital media companies to unlock value in an asset that they really know a lot about. So who would like to take this question on content as commerce and share their thoughts about this? Anybody from the panel can take this. It's a relatively, you know, and if you're not going to take it, then I'm going to ask somebody.
So
actually, I just came across something really interesting that's actually launching today. There's a US media group called Bustle, Bustle.inc, right?
That's
and
correct.
Bustle is launching a beta content commerce platform today, as in, I guess, tomorrow in the US, which is where they're essentially integrating product within editorial. So
Absolutely.
so what they're basically going to do is both create a storefront as well as a cart, beautifully integrated into editorial. And I'm sure when it releases, we'll see. But it's essentially a store experience that you get while reading editorial content. And it's not just storefront. You can also add to cart, and you can create a cart while you're browsing editorial content. So I thought that was a really new and interesting way of doing content commerce.
Absolutely. You actually hit the nail on the head, Meghna, because we are looking at a future unfolding in the next 3 to 5 years, and content as commerce, which is contextually relevant and embedded in a content matrix in a non-obtrusive way, which enriches the consumer, will actually work wonders. So of course, this content will be clearly demarcated. There'll be disclaimers, but if it informs and entertains, the consumer is going to love it. And early adopters of this space are the e-commerce companies. The biggies like Amazon are doing it, but they're doing it on their platform. The real opportunity will be when publishers start doing it on their platform and provide significant value. This is good. I think we've slightly overrun our time already. We've had a fascinating discussion, and we've touched upon many aspects of content monetization pie, which goes beyond advertising and subscription. We talked about audience segmentation. We talked about data mining, data harnessing. We talked about content licensing, content marketplace. We are looking at new frontiers opening up in terms of content commerce. So thank you, panelists, for your very enriching insights. And unfortunately, I do not have time to take audience questions, but I'm sure audience would have found this very enriching. So once again, thank you for your time and appreciate you joining us. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Sanjay.
Thank you. Thanks, Sanjay.
Thank you,
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.